If there's one thing people massively underestimate during a blackout, camping trip, or RV adventure, it's how fast power disappears. Phones die first, then the lights, then suddenly the fridge starts warming up, the Wi-Fi drops, and that small outage turns into a full-blown headache. And here's the crazy part. Most people buy the wrong solar generator. They either overspend on features they'll never use, or they cheap out and end up with a glorified battery pack that can barely run a coffee maker. So in this video, the goal is simple. Find the best rated solar generators that are actually worth the money in 2026, not just based on flashy marketing. Real world usability, charging speed, battery lifespan, emergency performance, portability, and most importantly, whether these things can handle real life situations when the power goes out or when you're miles away from the nearest outlet. Some of these models are insanely powerful. Some are surprisingly portable. And one of them has a feature almost nobody else offers that could literally save a road trip or emergency situation. But not every generator here deserves the hype. A few sound incredible until the downsides show up. So stay until the end because the final rankings might completely change which one actually makes sense for you. For this list, the focus was on the highest rated solar generators for home backup, camping, RV use, emergency prep, and off-grid living. Charging speeds, battery technology, portability, solar performance, output power, and long-term value were all considered. And honestly, the gap between some of these models is much bigger than expected. Starting at number 7 is the VTOMAN 3096 watt-hours solar generator. This thing is basically the definition of big power without luxury branding. And that's exactly why a lot of people love it. The first thing that stands out is the sheer capacity. Over 3,000 watt-hours combined with an 1,800 watt inverter means this system can comfortably run refrigerators, TVs, electric coolers, CPAP machines, power tools, and even some kitchen appliances without constantly worrying about draining the battery. For RV owners or homeowners dealing with long outages, that matters a lot more than fancy software animations inside an app. And here's where it gets interesting. VTOMAN added a jumpstart feature for vehicles. That sounds gimmicky at first, until a dead car battery hits in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, that extra feature becomes incredibly valuable. Now the catch? This thing is heavy, really heavy. At around 70 pounds with the expansion battery, it's not something most people want to carry across campsites. This is more of a set it down and leave it there power station. Another downside is the included 200-watt solar panel. For a battery this massive, one panel simply isn't enough for fast solar recovery. In perfect sunlight, charging can stretch way beyond a full day. So realistically, adding extra solar panels becomes almost mandatory if the plan is serious off-grid use. Still, compared to premium competitors like EcoFlow, the VTOMAN delivers absurd capacity for the price. It skips some advanced software features, but for buyers focused on raw backup power and long battery lifespan, this one punches way above its price range. At number 6 is the LIPOWER G1000L-S, and this might be one of the most underrated solar generators on the market right now. On paper, it doesn't look revolutionary. A 1,075 watt-hour battery, 1,200 watts output, pretty standard. But once the real-world features start stacking up, it becomes obvious why so many users rate this thing so highly. The standout feature here is the UPS functionality with sub-10 millisecond switchover speeds. That means if the power cuts suddenly, sensitive electronics like gaming PCs, workstations, or medical devices stay running without rebooting. That's a massive deal for remote workers or anyone using CPAP equipment overnight. Then there's the charging speed. 0 to 80% in under an hour is genuinely impressive at this size. A lot of older solar generators still take 4, 5, sometimes even 7 hours to recharge. This one gets back into action incredibly fast. And despite using safer LiFePO4 batteries, it stays relatively portable at around 26 pounds. That sweet spot makes it practical for camping while still being powerful enough for home backup. But here's the downside nobody talks about enough. The DC output is somewhat limited for high-draw 12-volt accessories. So if someone plans to run heavy-duty vehicle equipment constantly, there are stronger options. The display accuracy can also fluctuate slightly under very heavy loads. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something advanced users will notice. Still, for the price, the balance is excellent. Fast charging, long lifespan, quiet operation, strong UPS support. For people wanting dependable emergency power without jumping into huge 3 kilowatt-hour systems, this one makes a ton of sense. Number 5 is the Anker SOLIX C2000 Gen 2. And honestly, this feels like the luxury SUV of solar generators. Everything about it screams premium. The construction feels overbuilt in a good way. The wheels and retractable handle immediately make transport easier. And the charging speed is honestly ridiculous. A full recharge in under an hour for a 2 kilowatt-hour battery almost feels fake until it's actually tested. That speed changes the entire experience. Instead of babysitting a charger overnight, users can top this thing off quickly before storms, road trips, or campsite transitions. Performance-wise, it's a monster. The 2,400-watt output handles almost every household appliance people realistically need during emergencies. Refrigerators, microwaves, heaters, power tools, no problem. And unlike budget brands that feel clunky, Anker's app ecosystem is polished. Remote monitoring, charging adjustments, battery stats, it all works smoothly. That matters more than people think once these units become part of daily life. Now here's the problem. Premium performance comes with premium pricing, and while the features are excellent, there are cheaper units offering similar raw capacity. Also, during maximum speed charging, the fans get loud. Not slightly noticeable loud. More like, why does this sound like a gaming laptop under stress loud? In small apartments or quiet RVs, that becomes noticeable fast. But despite that, this generator absolutely nails the balance between portability and serious home backup capability. For families wanting a dependable long-term emergency solution that still feels mobile, the SOLIX C2000 is incredibly hard to beat. At number 4 is the EcoFlow Delta 3 Classic. And this is where the list starts getting seriously competitive. EcoFlow has built a reputation for making some of the smartest, fastest charging power stations in the industry. And the Delta 3 Classic continues that trend. The biggest advantage here is efficiency. This thing charges insanely fast. 1 hour from empty to full changes how people use backup power entirely. Instead of carefully rationing every watt, users can recharge quickly and get back to normal life. The included 220-watt bifacial solar panel also deserves attention. Unlike standard panels that only collect light from one side, this one grabs reflected ambient light too. On cloudy days or reflective surfaces, that extra efficiency actually makes a difference. And the app? Probably one of the best available right now. Users can customize charging speeds, activate quieter modes, monitor consumption remotely, and basically control the entire system from a phone. But here's the catch. EcoFlow loves aggressive cooling, which means the fans can become surprisingly loud during fast charging or heavy appliance usage. And while 1,024 watt-hours is great for weekend camping or short outages, it's not enough for extended home backup unless power usage stays conservative. People often underestimate how quickly a fridge, lights, internet router, and coffee machine can drain a 1 kilowatt-hour station. Still, for portability, speed, and smart features, this is easily one of the best compact solar generators available right now, especially for digital nomads, apartment dwellers, or anyone wanting fast emergency backup without hauling around a giant battery brick. At number 3 is the BLUETTI Elite 300, And this thing feels built for people who take off-grid living seriously. The biggest strength here is balance. Massive 3 kilowatt-hour capacity. Strong 2,400 watt output. Dual 200 watt solar panels included. And somehow, the entire package remains relatively compact compared to other giant battery systems. That matters a lot for RV owners because storage space disappears quickly once camping gear, food supplies, and tools start piling up. The included solar setup is another huge advantage. Many brands advertise solar generators, but force buyers to purchase panels separately. BLUETTI actually includes 400 watts of solar input right in the package, which immediately makes this feel more complete. And performance? Excellent. This can comfortably run refrigerators, heaters, portable AC units, laptops, lights, and kitchen appliances for extended periods. For blackout preparedness, it's one of the strongest setups on this entire list. Now the downside. Despite the compact design, it's still heavy. Really heavy. And unlike the Anker, there are no wheels. Carrying this into trucks or RV compartments gets tiring fast. Cable management can also become messy once multiple devices are plugged in. It's a small complaint, but in tight spaces, clutter becomes annoying quickly. Still, for serious backup power and long-term off-grid capability, the BLUETTI Elite 300 delivers tremendous value, especially because the included solar panels reduce the overall setup cost significantly. Now, before getting into the top two, here's the reality most buyers ignore. Bigger numbers don't automatically mean better purchases. A lot of people overspend chasing giant capacity they'll barely use. Others buy tiny budget-friendly units that fail the moment real emergencies happen. The best solar generator isn't necessarily the most powerful one. It's the one that actually fits how power gets used daily. For some people, portability matters most. For others, silent operation matters more than charging speed. And for homeowners dealing with frequent outages, battery lifespan and UPS reliability become far more important than flashy designs. That's why the top two products stand out so much. They don't just perform well on paper, they solve real-world problems exceptionally well. At number 2 is the Jackery Solar Generator 1000 V2. And honestly, this might be the safest recommendation for most people watching this video. Jackery has refined this category for years, and the 1000 V2 feels incredibly polished. Not flashy, not overloaded with gimmicks, just reliable. The portability immediately stands out. At under 24 pounds with a foldable handle, this thing is easy to move around. Campsites, road trips, emergency storage closets, it fits naturally into daily life. Performance is also surprisingly strong for the size. A 1,500 watt inverter easily handles coffee makers, mini fridges, laptops, TVs, lights, fans, and even some power tools. And the 1-hour emergency charging mode is a huge upgrade over older Jackery models. If a storm warning suddenly appears, users can quickly recharge before the grid goes down. Where Jackery really wins is simplicity. Some competing apps feel overly technical. Some interfaces feel cluttered. The Jackery experience is clean, beginner-friendly, and dependable. But there are limitations. Expansion batteries aren't supported, which hurts long-term scalability. And while the app works fine, it's not nearly as advanced as EcoFlow or BLUETTI systems. Solar charging speeds are also decent rather than class-leading. Still, the overall balance here is exceptional. Lightweight, reliable, quiet, durable, easy to use. For campers, first-time buyers, and emergency preparedness, this is one of the easiest solar generators to confidently recommend. And finally, at number 1 is the BLAVOR Portable Power Station 1600 watts. This one surprises people a lot. Because on paper, it doesn't have the biggest battery. It doesn't have the most famous brand name. But the real-world practicality here is extremely smart. The killer feature is the built-in solar panel integrated directly into the generator itself. Now, to be clear, it's not powerful enough to fully recharge the unit quickly, not even close. But that's not the point. The point is redundancy. Imagine forgetting external panels during a camping trip, or dealing with a prolonged emergency where every tiny bit of incoming power matters. That built-in panel quietly keeps feeding energy into the battery instead of leaving the unit completely dead. That's genuinely useful. The 1,600 watt output is also impressive for a 1 kilowatt-hour class unit. Many competitors around this size max out at 1,000 to 1,500 watts. BLAVOR pushes slightly higher, which allows it to handle more demanding appliances comfortably. The rugged construction also makes this feel ready for outdoor abuse. RV vibrations, campsites, rough storage, it feels durable. Of course, there are compromises. The built-in panel charges slowly, very slowly. Serious users will still want external panels. The unit is also bulkier than some streamlined competitors. And because BLAVOR's ecosystem is smaller, accessory support isn't as extensive as EcoFlow or BLUETTI. But overall, the versatility is outstanding. It's simple, capable, durable, and uniquely self-sufficient in ways most competitors simply aren't. So which solar generator should actually be bought? For the best overall balance, the Jackery 1000 V2 probably makes the most sense for most people. It nails portability, reliability, charging speed, and ease of use without becoming overly complicated. For the best premium home backup solution, the BLUETTI Elite 300 is incredibly impressive thanks to its huge capacity and included solar setup. For buyers wanting maximum smart features and ultra-fast charging, the EcoFlow Delta 3 Classic and Anker SOLIX C2000 are excellent choices. And for people prioritizing emergency redundancy and rugged versatility, the BLAVOR stands out in a very unique way. Now, pricing on these solar generators changes constantly, especially during seasonal sales and emergency weather demand spikes. So check the links in the description for updated prices, bundle deals, and availability before making a decision. And if one of these generators already saved a camping trip or blackout situation, definitely share the story in the comments.